All right, guys, this is my update video for the month of January 2023. There are some things going on this year that I'm gonna change a lot of stuff up. I'm not gonna be the same old anymore. I think we have gotten stagnant. I've been approached by a few people. What it basically comes down to is I read a lot of your emails. I read a lot of your text messages, your messaging on Facebook. I read all of that, and I evaluate it at the end of the year on how to make my channel better. So 2023 is going to be totally different. I've been, and if you guys watch behind the scenes video, I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. The channel's going in a direction I really didn't want it to, and I'm gonna try to get back to basics. Maybe do a little bit more traveling, hitting with a lot of other seniors other than the group that we have. That was one of the concerns. You know, a lot more 70-year-old guys, 75-year-old guys hitting our bats. You know, getting off topic whenever we're hitting. There are just things that I heard you guys talk about that I'm gonna start changing for this next year, because you're the guys that I wanna please that is watching my channel. So I kinda wanna do this for y'all. On my behind the scenes, one of the biggest complaints, you know, one of the top 3 complaints was that you guys don't know what bat we're swinging or what size. And I know that's important for a lot of you. The size shouldn't be important because your bat swing is different than ours. But I know a lot of you guys wanna know, like back in the old days, there was a certain bat there was a certain size of bat that swung better than a heavier bat. So I understand what you guys are asking for. And I can see that when you're asking me about it. So the sizes are gonna be in there a lot. The year 2023, I'm just gonna change a bunch of stuff. The sizes are gonna be there. The bat is gonna be there, because a lot of times we'll pick up a bat and we'll start swinging it and I won't talk about it, I won't say anything about it, kind of like this bat right here. And you guys will wanna know what it is. Well, it's a prototype for a bat that's gonna come out next year for Onyx. This is what this bat is right here. And you guys wanna know barrel length. So I'm gonna start getting, like, it's almost gonna be like a reality TV show. I'm gonna start the camera when I get in the truck in the morning, when I'm driving to go drop everything off, and then kind of go through it and how we set up everything to get ready. I'm usually the first guy there, unless Charlie Mueller's come from out of town, then he's usually the first guy there. And then start setting everything up, talking about what bat's gonna swing that day to you, talking into the camera. That way, starting that hour and 15-minute video, you'll kind of have a rundown on what we're hitting that day. I've heard you guys talk about, you know, there's other stuff that I want to get to that I'm going to address this year. But let's start with at the beginning of the year, because we had a really good year this year. Our viewership was up tremendously. Our subscribers were up tremendously. And I thank y'all guys for that, because you're really into it. I think what's happening with a lot of senior bats out there is the tide is changing. A lot more technology I see this year, a lot more experimental stuff, the smaller handles, the smaller knobs that are coming out. A lot of bat companies out there with technology are getting into it. They're getting into senior ball. It's no longer U-Trip or ASA. They're getting into the senior ball. What we're gonna do this year too, actually, as I'm looking around, is we're gonna do actually reviews on gloves, balls, and I'll kind of go into that a little bit right here. Short Porch has sent us a few balls I'm gonna kind of throw in there. This is the 44-400, which we usually don't hit against our bats, but I'm gonna tell you guys my opinion. This is a 44-375. Now, if you guys watch behind the scenes in our last video, we actually were hitting the 52-300s with that Short Porch ball. And if the ball's a little lighter, but we really do like that ball. That ball performs, but it doesn't perform like a 44-375. I kind of like it. It's kind of not as taxing on the bats. This is another ball. You guys ever heard of that ball? Comment down below if you guys have heard of this ball. I just got it the other day. Slider. That one, have you ever heard of that? We're gonna hit this one. I got a few of those I'm gonna throw in there. We're getting balls from Dudley, Thunder Advance. They're actually discontinuing the Thunder Advance from what I heard. This is information I got 2 months ago, so things could have changed. But they're actually not producing the Thunder Advance anymore, but they're putting out a ball that's going to take its spot, and that ball is going to be sent to me to actually, because we do hit Thunder Advance when we hit BP, which I love the Thunder Advance because we hit in hot weather down here, and it doesn't lose that much compression when we're hitting in hot weather. So they actually want us to compare that ball against the new ball against the old Thunder Advance. And, you know, we've hit them for a long time, you know, 7, 8 years. Now we hit those Thunder Advance, but we're going to go more into the ball, you know, this next year, kind of give you guys our opinion on a lot of balls. What I want to do is when I go to these tournaments or play in these tournaments, I want to grab a lot of those balls that are at that tournament and kind of bring them back and throw them in our little, you know, throw them in our little bag and then start telling you guys, you know, the tournament what this is the ball they hit in that tournament and what our opinion of that ball was at that tournament and when we're hitting them, whenever I bring them back. But I want to try to get this, I'll buy them at the tournament or whatever and bring them back. And for you guys to actually talk about them, I want to get more into the ball because I think we're as knowledgeable in balls than we are with bats. Maybe a little bit more in bats, but as knowledgeable in balls too. Maybe some fielding gloves. And I know you guys are going to say a smart ass comment about that with me, but we do have other guys that actually play with us that does play the infield. Batting gloves too. I want to get into this batting gloves. Me and Bubba prefer a different batting glove than other guys out there I prefer a thinner one. The Franklins are pretty thin. Louisville, pretty thin. I like the thin ones because I don't like them to slide on me. So we're going to start doing batting gloves this next year too, get a few batting gloves from some people and actually get out reviews on that. We are changing locations. That was another complaint too. The place we were hitting was Schertz, Texas, and they have Randolph Air Force Base. And every morning they were doing some training there. And I know it's hard because when I was cutting the video up, my wife would actually go in the other room and close the door because when I was cutting video up, it would actually be so loud and she would get mad and yell at me, turn it down or whatever. So, and I understand it's hard and I couldn't hear a lot of the stuff that was being said. And I usually go through the videos a couple of times to make sure nobody says anything or curses or anything like that. And I'll usually try to pull that out. But it was hard and we're gonna change locations so you guys can be more maybe one-on-one and listen to a lot of stuff and explain what we are talking about. Another thing too is you guys didn't like when we would actually powwow away from you guys. And I think it was like we were hiding something from me, which it wasn't. But what we're gonna do is kind of bring it in a little bit more to the camera and talk about what we were thinking. That way you guys get more knowledge about what we're doing or way the bat's performing. Maybe too much flex or maybe the barrel's compressing. Things like that. But we're going to be more, I guess, transparent is what I'm trying to say. And that's the one thing that you guys wanted from us. You wanted to know when we had that little powwow, what were we talking about? And we're going to start telling you guys or having the powwow right by the camera and explaining to you, hey, this is the bat we're going to hit today. On my intro in the morning, and I want to get the guys like last week, 2 weeks ago, we haven't hit in a couple of weeks. I got the guys together and I said, okay, I want the Wig Popper hit and I want the California Bat Company's hit. And I need to finish up those reviews on those bats. And that's all I need today. Whenever we're doing that intro in the morning, you're gonna actually know on that behind the scenes video what we're hitting because it's entertaining for you guys too. A lot of you guys, especially right now, a lot of you guys are snowed in. And just give you an example, and I hope you guys aren't hitting your bats, right? Indoors, outdoors. Today is, oh, wow. Today is Tuesday. Tomorrow's gonna be 39 in the morning. Thursday is gonna be 24, 19 on Friday. Now, 19 in San Antonio is gonna shut the city down, just to let you know. Doesn't have to be any dew on the ground or any kind of ice or anything like that. 19 Friday, 19 Saturday, 25 Sunday. So all through the weekend, they're gonna shut this place down. Doesn't get above freezing until next Thursday. So It's going to shut the city down. I hope you guys aren't out there. I've seen a couple of pictures of guys with holding bats with them broke in half, you know, and then they probably call the bat manufacturer and complain about their bat breaking in December. Prime example, I went and got this ball out 2 hours ago from the garage. It's 47 outside. I got it out from it's still cold. 2 hours ago, that ball's still cold. It takes a long time for that core to warm up. So you guys say, well, it's 70, 80 degrees outside. It was 40 the night before. Well, unless you set that ball outside in the sun for like 12 hours, I think I said in one video, to have it warm up, it's gonna damage your bats. And once you damage them, there ain't no reversing it. Once you take this out in cold weather, that's what you guys don't understand. Once you take this out in cold weather, oh man, I wanna swing it, I just got the wick popper. I want to swing it. So you get it, right? You go, shit, you're itching, it's 70, 80 degrees outside, you know, 75. You run outside, start hitting it, it starts damaging because you're hitting it when it's cold. All the ball is cold, ball damages it. It's going to crack prematurely, just to let you know, because you've already done damage to it. And then you say, I got 150, so I only put like 30 on it the other day. You still damaged it. Patreon, and I told you guys about this too. It's gonna be a paid subscription page, and it's another thing too. It's gonna be more personal. There's gonna be a ton of stuff. There's gonna be podcasts on it. It's gonna have 3 different tiers. First tier starts off at $5. You're gonna get an early release on all the videos that I put out. I still have videos going to YouTube. Just not like the weightlifting videos are going to go straight to my Patreon page. The training videos are going to go my Patreon page. The tip videos, when I'm talking about, there's tea work that I actually want to talk about, that I'm not a big believer in tea, and I want to go into a video where I'm talking about why I'm not a big believer in tea, other than training forearms. That's the only thing. So, and tell you how to train your forearms when you're hitting off a tee. A lot of bat speed workouts, you know, with wiffle bats. That's all going on my Patreon page. I've already did a lot of videos on it. A lot of videos I have on YouTube are going to be transferred over to my Patreon page. You guys can get on one of those tiers. The top tier is going to be more personal. It's actually going to be hardcore. I'll be talking on that page about a bunch of stuff. TB 500, BPC 157. These are all peptides, injectable peptides that you can inject into your joints and stuff like that to help healing. Not something you're going to have to do just when you're healing. Something, you know, not something you're going to have to do all your life. I want to talk about injections, you know, cortisone shots, stem cell. I've talked to a lot of good doctors throughout Texas, and I've got a lot of knowledge that I can actually pass on to you guys. Podcast, I want to talk about that. I did a podcast with Leroy the other day, and I don't know if I talked about that at the beginning of the video, but I did a podcast with Leroy the other day. It actually went pretty good. SARMs, selective androgen receptor modulators, HGH, which I have pretty good knowledge about. SARMs, I have really good knowledge about. These are just different things that aren't approved. The HGH is human growth hormone, is approved by the FDA, but the SARMs are not, and I'll tell you exactly why SARMs was developed years ago. So I want to get into all this stuff. That's in the top tier. A lot of my workout routines, and I have them all put away. Actually, they're in this right here. This right here. They're in that, and there's one of them's my personal one, and there's 3 other ones that are actually ones that I looked at over the last, been doing this 35 years, working out, powerlifting. A lot of them are powerlifting, strength movements, explosive movements. I see too many guys out there training and doing it the wrong way and passing that knowledge on to you guys, and I want to get you guys thinking the way I think about training for softball, how to hit the ball harder. It's not necessarily hitting home runs, which a lot of people like. It's about hitting the ball harder through the infield and getting on base. Basically what I want to do with this Patreon page. Shaving bats. I can't believe I didn't talk about this in the beginning of the video. Shaving bats, I'm going to get into that. I actually just finished up an hour-long podcast when I talked about it. What I thought, why a lot of people do this, shaving. I do see, an awareness this last year, at the end of this last year, that was actually better than the year before, and I do see progress, but very small, where we're going to have to get a lot of people that jump on board. And I talked to Leroy about this the other day on his podcast. You guys can go to his channel, Leroy Dozel. Go to his channel, look at that podcast. It's a long one, damn near an hour and a half. But we talked about shaving, and basically, hey, you know people that shave. And he told me, you do too. But what do you do? Do you out them? Then you look like the bad guy, and then you're the troublemaker. If you out the guy, the big guy, right? The big guy that's shaving, and he made sense on this. And one thing I like about Leroy is he's a thinker. And I like the way he talks. And who got me turned on to him was Bubba, because Bubba actually played ball with him a little bit 2 years ago. And I said, how's Leroy? He says he knows his shit. He knows what he's doing. He's mentally into the game. He's kind of like we are. We're thinkers. We're obsessive compulsive when it comes to playing softball, where we're thinking 10 steps ahead of everything. And now, I like the guy. And that's the reason I did the podcast with him. But he's like, but what do you do? How do you out these people? Because you pretty sure they're shaving. Because I've done reviews on a lot of bats. I've swung a lot of bats. And when their bat is performing better than I did the review on, that's a red flag with me. So what do we do? Do we out them? And then what happens? What's the repercussions of somebody that has a platform outing these people? You get ostracized, right? That's usually what happens. They deny it, catch me, call you every name in the book. And then, what happens? Then nobody wants to play with you anymore, because you're that Jose Canseco that outed everybody, You're that guy, we don't want to play with, get him out of here. He's a troublemaker. Let it lie. That's what everybody wants done to it right now. Just let it sleep. Don't say anything. Yeah, we know he does, but shit, don't say anything. Shit, he's hitting 900 for us. That's another thing too about you coaches out there. What are you gonna do? Guys hitting 900, hitting 80 home runs. That's a joke. So what are you gonna do? And the guy's not gonna stop doing it, because here's the deal. Shit, the guy at the end of the bench is doing it, right? He's getting all the trophies, all the little patches, the pat on the back patch. You've seen those, right? A little pat on the back, you can put them everywhere. Everybody starts throwing them around when they're doing podcasts. Or that ring, that I don't give a shit about, that ring. I don't even know where mine's at. Half of them were done, or achieved in the way that I didn't want them achieved, so I don't give a shit about them. So, this other guy's winning All-American and MVP, and he's doing it, so you got to keep up with him, right? So you have to do it too. Because in your mind, you think naturally, I can't get the edge on this guy. And that's the way baseball was too, guys, back in the day. I know that for a fact. That's the way baseball. What do we do? I mean, we keep on I've got it, and I told this on Leroy's podcast, is there were guys that were saying, attaboy Dave, attaboy Dave, but there's a handful of guys that said, why are you fucking worried about it? Just let it go. Been cheating going on back since the 70s and 80s. We talked about the tennis ball thing and what I thought about that. Here's the deal, guys. Yes, it did happen. It happened a long time ago, yes. But what has happened now is, whenever it happened, let me just throw in, when it happened 20 plus years ago, because the composite bat came in 1990, don't quote me, 1997, 98 maybe. I'm talking about the composite, Mikan composite. And don't throw a ceramic at me saying, no, Dave, ceramic came out in 19, no. The composite bat came out, started out in 1997, 1998. I'm talking about before that. Yes, there was cheating going on. but it didn't put on the distance that shaving does. Not even close. They were using hotter balls back then too. So it did not make the bat that hot as shaving does. Like shaving a bat puts tremendous amount of exit speed on your bat. So a lot of you guys that tell me, Dave, why you give a shit? Why, this is shit that happened always. Everybody cheats. Everybody cheats. I mean, it's been going on for years, but the severity of this, that's my biggest concern, is the severity of it. Because yes, they did cheat back in the day, but this is way out of control, where you're getting tremendous amount of performance off of a shaved bat. And you guys watch the video. I'm done beating a dead horse right there, but I will bring it up a lot, especially in this podcast I have coming out too. So a lot of my stuff is going to change this year. I'm not going to hit at that field. It doesn't matter what, I back up behind the plate, guys going, that's not a 300-foot fence, that's 275. Well, dude, we back up 20-something feet behind the plate. Plus, it's a pain in the ass. The balls hit the damn fence, they come back there, I gotta stop, I gotta cut that shit out, and it's just a pain in the ass. And then the planes are flying over, and everybody's talking, and that's another thing too. We're not gonna be talking about anything other than the bat. It's nothing to you guys ask me, can you please stay on topic? And yes, we're gonna do that. Talk about the bat that we're swinging. If we're swinging this bat, we're gonna be talking about this bat and nothing else going forward. So I've heard you guys, and you're right, 100%, because I look at the video. You're right, 100%. There's gonna be more detail, more transparency, more talking knowledge on what bat we're swinging, what the load is, what the end load is, what the handle weight is before we actually start doing it. That way you're more involved when you're watching it, because like I said about COVID 2 years ago, it opened up a lot of what, me and Bogey's doing, because he's putting video out and his viewership went up. He told me the other day his viewership has went up because a lot of seniors are staying home now. They're getting snowed in now. They're watching a lot of these podcasts now. They're watching a lot of these videos now. I put out a video the other day, it was 2 hours long, and first day I got 1,000 views on it. That's telling me something, that you guys are out there watching this, entertained by all this. And it is entertaining. It's just gonna be as entertaining, but a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more on okay, like if I pitch this ball and they hit it, I'm gonna come back and talk, hey, that was that ball, this is how it performed. Almost like a reality TV show, hour long, and then when I'm going home, I can kind of like talk with the camera going on the dash, talk about what went on during that day, how these bats perform, and then at the end, the review comes out. So everything's changing in a totally different, it's not just a little changing. I'm telling you right now, everything is gonna change in a big way. I think in a plus way. Me and Charlie Mueller talked the other day about traveling and going and hitting at these places around Texas. I was gonna drive up to Dallas and maybe go to Houston and hit, another buddy of mine, Donnie King, he's talking about going to Houston and hit with a bunch of guys down there, driving to Florida, driving to California, flying to California, but driving to Florida, Louisiana. Charlie Mueller talked about going to Louisiana and hit with some seniors there. Woodlawn Hitting Club, I want to go there. I have never been, and I'm actually joined to them, and I support them, which I think a lot of you guys out there should. Get a hold of David North and get on there and support those guys, because they're always out there taking swings at different groups in the mornings, and they do basically what we do. Is we'll hit in the mornings, then they will, other than reviewing a bat, but they'll get hit in the mornings, they'll talk, and then they'll go and eat breakfast, which we love doing. And they're sitting around breakfast table and eating, and I want to go visit them a few times during next year, do a lot of, maybe go up to Vegas a little earlier, during the year, the early tournament, Reno, go to those tournaments early, get a hold of some guys, do some BP, bring up some bats, and then do a lot of videotaping. That Charlie Mueller brought that up to me, that I thought that was a very good idea. But we'll still be on YouTube. The traveling thing, there just won't be as much videotaping on YouTube. Like the behind the scenes are probably going to move back behind the Patreon page, but there'll be a little more, there's shorter clips. The longer clips will be on Patreon. The shorter clips are going to probably be on YouTube. All of the reviews will be on YouTube, but they'll just get there a little later. The Patreon gets first dibs on all that, watching them, and then the other ones will show up. The reviews will show up later on. Let me talk about bats before I get off of here. It's 30-minute long. I don't want this to be a long one. Let me talk about bats. Proton. Starting up the new year, when it starts warming up, not anytime soon, but when it starts warming up, we're going to start hitting the Proton. And I get a lot, like about 3 times a week. You know, what about the Proton? Which I've shut it down already, guys. We're not hitting anything. The last review I did was on this bat right here. That one should be out by the beginning of the year. I want to get it out before the end of the year. So it'll probably be out before this video. And another thing too, I'm actually just working on this too, is my top 10 bats from the year 2022. So that will be out in the first week of January too. I promise you on that one. First week of January, that'll be out. I'm gonna leave in a couple of days. I'm gonna go take my future son-in-law hunting for his bachelor party, him and his dad, and a couple other guys. We're gonna go to Rock Springs, hang out there for a while. And then my daughter's getting married on the 26th, the day after Christmas, to a gentleman in the military, great guy, good guy. And that's all you can ask for. So I'll be busy probably for the next week. That's how come I want to do all these videos right now and then get them out. It's not, I hope you guys too have a great Christmas. By the time you see this video, Christmas is a Tuesday. Christmas is what, Saturday? Sunday. Christmas Eve is Saturday. And I hope you guys have a great Christmas. Get everything you want, especially all the bats you guys want out there too. But we're going in a different direction. I was talking about bats. Onyx is coming out with a couple of new bats. You guys seen the behind the scene videos, Billy swinging them. The Blake 2.0, Billy is doing some R&D work, research and development on that bat. And him and Carlos was going back and forth on what he should be swinging, what he wants, what his desire is to swing. So that is, you'll see a yellow bat in behind the scenes. That's Billy's prototype on what he thinks about that bat. And he's kind of messing with it and trying to get his balance points right. And then him and Carlos going back and forth. That's what you will probably see toward the end of the year. After the end of the year, it's probably not going to be on there anymore. Blake 2.0 coming out by the March of next year. And then you have new, and I just did reviews on these bats. One should be out tomorrow on the Little Mexican 2-piece. And then they have a new California bat company bat coming out. I think a couple of them that are coming out, I hear, by next year. And I've already been contacted about that bat to get in my hands to actually start swinging the newer one that's coming out. Short Porch is coming out with a couple of new bats too that I heard of. They're gonna throw some bats out there, which I think is a good idea because on this Wig Popper, they actually developed a really good bat there. California Bat Company. It's funny, man, the bat companies from 5-6 years ago are getting pushed to the side from these smaller bat companies. These guys are just mom and pop. I call them a mom and pop because, they only been around a few years and they're taking over the lead and pushing those other bats to the side, guys. If you don't start learning how to load your shit, I'm just giving you some advice here, you're gonna be left behind. And these new bat companies that are on the top, shit, if it wasn't for Johnny Bailey and Mike and with Mike and Big Cat on how they loaded those bats, Mike wouldn't even be up there. And then you got Suncoast, which what the hell happened to them? And a lot of you guys, I get emails on that too. My Suncoast, my son. This is another thing too, man. This is just our opinion. It's just, a lot of you guys, and I keep saying this in videos, but it's like you guys want to argue with me. I'll change your mind. I'll change your mind. Let me come down there and hit. No, you ain't coming down there and hit with us. We've already made our decision. You ain't changing our mind. This is just our opinion. It's just a few guys' opinion. That's all it is. You can take it or leave it. You don't like the channel, then don't view the channel or dislike or whatever like that. You know, I've got 2 or 3 guys. They don't even watch the first time they click on it to watch it, boom, they dislike it. It won't break my heart. I can care less. But it's just our opinion. It's something we put out there, entertaining for you guys during COVID or during snow, or you guys get a late start in the year because the winter's sticking around. You guys can watch the videos, kind of get updated. They are going to change. And I'm not talking about just a little change, guys. I'm talking about drastically changing my channel for the good, not for the bad. We're going to be more focused on you guys, on what you want. You know, there's still going to be the messing around, playing around, but I think we're going to take it to a different tier this next year, 2023, and be more transparent, be more informational, if that's even a word. Give a lot more information out there about what we're swinging, especially on behind the scenes. And I changed, and I hear you guys, and I changed because I got the emails, and I'm letting you guys know that I got them and I read them. But this Patreon page is going to be opening up in January. I'm going to hold back on a lot of the videos that I have going up there. I've actually started storing them on my YouTube channel, and there's going to be a link that on, you know, when you look at my YouTube channel, right on the bottom, and I think it's going to be right over here. Right down there, I think. If I can get this turned around, it's going to be right here, right there, and it's going to be a join where you're going to join my page, and you click on it. It's got 3 different tiers. You can enroll in 3 different tiers that you want to get on, and then I'm going to have, like, my workout routine will be like, I'm going to have it pasted on there where you can start the workout routine. It's going to have reps. It's going to have everything. My personal workout routine, my off-season workout routine will be on there, which I've actually been doing for the last, probably the last month and a half. After I got back from Vegas, I started it. And then I've been working out really hard for about eight months now because I can. And I've been doing my on-season workout routine, then I get an off-season workout routine, which has totally drastically changed. My weights go up, more explosive movements. But during the season, I work out. It's the way I work out that I need to talk to you guys about, because I don't work out before I play. I don't do none of that. I give my body time to rest. And I've always done that when I played softball. And it actually benefits me because I'm stronger the day that I play. I do hit a lot of balls up till then, though, nowadays. Back in the day, I did not. But now I changed that, where I have to hit the day before or 2 days before, just to stay loose, because we're older, we got arthritis, and you've got to just stay in that fluid movement of what you're hitting. On this, I want to talk about on this top tier, on this personal Patreon page, I want to talk about things that I think that get your quality of life back. A lot of you guys text me and say, I'm suffering from this, what can I do? And I think if you join this Patreon page, you're going to get a lot of information that a lot of doctors will not tell you. And here's another thing, before I started, I'm going to do this little thing where I'm not a doctor. This is just, I have a lot of friends that are doctors, and they're not really telling me, but I'll kind of run it by them. And then I do a lot of research on YouTube. I read a lot of research papers, basically. And I make my mind up on what I want to take or what I want to do. And none of it's really dangerous where you're going to get hurt from it. It's just experimental stuff, and you don't stay on it for a long time. It's just for healing. I want to get into that for a lot of you guys out there that want to get back on the field as fast as you can. So that's it, guys. It'll be New Year's Day when you get this. And I hope a lot of you guys are safe, didn't go out partying too much the night before, kind of stay in like I do every year. My partying days are over with, but kind of hang out with the family, have a good time, and let's have a great 2023. And it's going to be different. I'm excited, actually, about the direction that I'm going to take this. Thanks, guys.